Let's get it. Welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Senior. No matter where you are or how you're tuned in, appreciate the Fly Eagles Fly family for tuning into today's show and making our coverage a part of your lead up to Super Bowl LVII. As for what we're getting into on today's show, good Landon Dickerson injury update as we saw him leave that game in the NFC Championship game against the 49ers a little bit early. The Warrior, that is Lane Johnson, retore his groin, didn't stop him from basically having a clean sheet against that Niners defensive line and Nick Bosa. And are the Kansas City Chiefs pretty banged up heading into Super Bowl LVII into Sundays? We're covering all of this. Appreciate all of y'all for rocking with us. Let's begin with the latest on Landon Dickerson. Left that NFC title game on Sunday a little bit early in that fourth quarter with an elbow injury. Looked to be in a lot of pain at the time, but got an MRI on Monday, and everything came back pretty clean. Dickerson suffered what is being called a hyperextended elbow, is expected to play in Super Bowl LVII against Kansas City. The Eagles offensive line, as we're about to talk about, does have the edge over Kansas City, which is what we talked about on yesterday's show. And if they play like they played against the Niners, like they played against the New York Giants, a second Lombardi trophy could be coming back to Philadelphia. Missed those final 13 offensive snaps against San Francisco. And you talk and think about this Eagles offensive line, right? The Eagles' offensive line is really the backbone of this organization right now, and it epitomizes Philadelphia as a whole. Blue collar, bully ball mentality. This Eagles offensive line is never afraid. They're as tough as nails, and all they have along the trenches is a bunch of winners, and all they want to do is be out there for their teammates as well as these fans and dominate the opponent and snatch their souls from their hearts. That's what they did against the New York Giants. That's what they did against the San Francisco 49ers. And the Eagles, led by this offensive line, had pounded the rock in a really impressive way in their two playoff victories here so far, combining in those two wins for 316 rushing yards. That is wild. That is a backbone for this Eagles' success so far in the postseason. Can it continue into Super Bowl LVII? As for what Dickerson has been able to do in year two, great draft selection by Howie Roseman in this front office out of Alabama, and he played center at Alabama and also went to Florida State before Alabama. They decided to move him to left guard. It's been a great move for this organization as well as him as an individual. And every member, as we've talked about along this Eagles offensive line, has been named to a Pro Bowl, is a Pro Bowl alternate, or an All-Pro. And, Jack, if we could go back to Landon Dickerson's numbers of what he's been able to do in 2022, he's played excellent football. More than 1,000 total snaps, 614 pass blocking snaps, where he has nearly a Pro Football Focus pass block grade of 80, 480 run blocking snaps. He's also really good in the trenches during the ground game. 1 sack allowed, 3 hits allowed, 18 total pressures. And as he flanks Jason Kelce as well as Jordan Mailata, that's a hell of this left side of that Eagles offensive line. Speaking of Jordan Mailata was called a weak link by somebody who covers the San Francisco 49ers in the lead up to the NFC Championship game. The Aussie took that personally. You go back and watch the film. You go back and watch Baldy's breakdowns on his Twitter page. Jordan Mailata took over that game through the air and on the ground. He took that personally. He was so dominant against San Francisco. And again, if the Eagles offensive line, which doesn't have any holes, can continue to be this dominant against Kansas City, I really like Philadelphia's chances, because if they run the football successfully, they keep Patrick Mahomes and that offense on the sideline, which is a huge key for this game in a couple of Sundays. So let me put you to the test here. Look ahead, Glendale, Arizona, Super Bowl LVII. Will the success on the ground continue for Philadelphia? And will they run for over or under 150 rushing yards against the Chiefs? O for over, U for under. Type in those votes and those predictions down in the comment section right now. And as you do venture down there, make sure you subscribe to Philadelphia Eagles Now. This is going to be your best coverage year-round, every single day, as all of our content comes to you on the daily for free, especially heading into the Super Bowl. 400 people away from another milestone here on the show of 41,000 subscribers. Lock us in and subscribe today. Lane Johnson injury update coming up around the corner, as well as the Chiefs injury report, which does include some marquee playmakers. First, though, today's show is sponsored by Geology, custom skin and hair care routines, and 70% off if you use the code ChatSports70 at chatsports.com/Geology. Geology creates simple and effective skincare and hair care routines customized just for you, Eagles fans, with ingredients that are proven to work. And right now, limited time only, they're hooking you up. This insane offer, it's 70% off. Chatsports.com/Geology, promo code ChatSports70, or you can use the QR code, scan that's on the screen right now. Geology is a 16-time award-winning skin, hair, and body care company recognized in Men's Health, GQ, and Esquire. And when you think about skincare, it should not feel like a gamble. It should not feel like a hassle. And Geology is the best in the skincare game. I've been using their face wash in the mornings, their dark and puffy under-eye cream, and retinol night cream at night before going to bed, and my skin looking and feeling great. And in the shower, they have some body wash products as well. So one more time, head to chatsports.com/Geology, scan that QR code up on your screen, and use our code ChatSports70. That link is in the description as well as the comment section of today's show. And on top of 70% off, you'll receive an exclusive bonus offer on one of their brand new skin, hair, or body products of your choice when you add it to your trial. Let's get back to the latest Eagles injury news and major developments here along this O-line for both Landon Dickerson as well as Lane Johnson. And Lane continues to really solidify himself as an all-time Eagles legend and arguably the best right tackle of all time. What he continues to do really is incredible with how dominant he is and how tough he is as well. Told Jay Glazer, and we talked about this in the lead up to that game against the Niners on Sunday, that he retore his groin 2 weeks ago against the New York Giants. Didn't affect him at all in that game or against the Niners. Nick Bosa, who's probably going to be the defensive player of the year, was a non-factor because of Lane Johnson. Bosa did not register a sack or a quarterback hit, and Lane also added, I was basically playing on one leg. My goodness, this guy is just next level. And this is wild about Lane Johnson. Lane Johnson has not given up a sack, a single sack, since the Eagles took on the Cleveland Browns on the 22nd of November in 2020. And at that point, Lane Johnson was playing on an ankle that hobbled him, that he needed a second surgery on. He has not given up a sack since November of 2020. Folks, we're in the tail end of January in 2023. It's unbelievable. And this just in, a live look at Lane Johnson. He doesn't only have that dog in him, he's got dogs in him, because this dude has that underdog mentality. This dude is an absolute dog and an all-time Philadelphia Eagles legend. And when you think about the construction of this roster, with what Howie Roseman has been able to do and how he's been able to build this football team, it's all along the offensive line, but that's not it. So here's my guide, how to build a winner. And this is how the Eagles are back in the Super Bowl for the second time since 2017, and how they've made it to 7 NFC championship games over the last 21 years. First of all, you have to check the box here up top. You have to find a quarterback. It's the most important position in all of sports. And if you do find that quarterback, like the Eagles have found Jalen Hurts, and he's on that rookie deal, like Jalen Hurts is, like Carson Wentz was back in 2017 when he would have won MVP and put the Eagles in a position to get that number 1 seed, paving the way for Nick Foles to go off in the playoffs. You have to strike quick as that quarterback is on that rookie deal, because it allows you to trade and re-sign A.J. Brown. It allows you to give Hassan Reddick $15 million per year. You can trade for C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and you can afford to pay big-time dollars to some big-time players, which has you in a spot to win another Super Bowl with one of the most stacked rosters in the NFL, and this is a team that can be sustainable. On top of finding that quarterback and finding that QB on their rookie deal, build up and develop your offensive line. What the offensive line allows you to do is win in a variety of ways, and your offense becomes multiple. If you're going up against the Chiefs in Super Bowl 57, you might have to win that game in a shootout by throwing the football, but also by running it. When Jalen Hurts gets injured, that offensive line, on top of being great in pass protection, can allow you to run for 268 yards against the Giants and almost 150 yards against the Niners, who came in with one of the best rushing defenses in the NFL. And then on top of that, what has been the backbone of success for this Eagles organization this year? And on top of the offensive line, what have they been able to do along the trenches? Cause havoc, cause destruction. And you do that with the deep defensive line that can attack the quarterback. Hassan Reddick, 3.5 sacks in 2 playoff games. It's the most in a playoff run in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles. How did the last 2 Super Bowl champions end up bringing home the Lombardi Trophy? Well, the Los Angeles Rams against Joe Burrow registered the most sacks in Super Bowl history. The year before that, the Buccaneers took down Patrick Mahomes thanks to the most quarterback pressures in Super Bowl history. You get that defensive line. You have the offensive line. You control the line of scrimmage. You find a quarterback, and you strike while the iron is hot with that quarterback on the rookie contracts, allowing Howie Roseman to build this roster like it is. That's how the Eagles are 1 game away and 1 win away from bringing home their 2nd Lombardi Trophy. Now, if you want to interact with me all year round, every single day, and in the lead up to Super Bowl 57, grew up in Westchester, diehard Eagles fan, you can hit me up, Twitter and Instagram at Chase_Senior. Love to hear from everybody out there. As for the Chiefs injury report here, some marquee players on this list. First, let's start with their number 1 cornerback in Kadarius Snead. Took an ugly hit against the Cincinnati Bengals. Does have a concussion. Obviously, the week off could help him. But Kadarius Snead is a very good corner, and he's a veteran corner on a roster that is very laden with young cornerbacks. And for Kadarius Snead, 11 pass breakups this year, 3 interceptions, 3.5 sacks, 5 tackles for loss. He's a really good player. So obviously, given the Eagles' firepower at that wide receiver position, if he can't go or if he is hobbled, that is certainly a big loss for the Kansas City Chiefs. They do, as I said, have a lot of young cornerbacks on the roster. One of them, Joshua Williams, played very, very well in the AFC title game. This guy's a rookie. He was drafted in the 4th round out of the football powerhouse of Fayetteville State, and he held up very well against Cincinnati. 47 coverage snaps, 2 catches allowed, 1 interception, and a passer rating against Joe Burrow of 9.2. Next up on the Chiefs injury report, it's Kadarius Toney, the former New York Giant who was traded to the Chiefs leading up to the NFL trade deadline. This guy has the footwork and the quickness that kind of reminds you of a Tyreek Hill. Not that player. I'm just speaking of the quickness. Hasn't really lived up to expectations since being that 1st-round pick out of Ole Miss, but is a good playmaker. Went down with an ankle injury. Of course, Andy Reid likes to take chances on guys with character concerns. He did that with Toney. It's somewhat paid out as he's been a pretty solid playmaker for KC. Willie Gay, a linebacker for the Kansas City Chiefs. Went down in that game against the Bengals with a shoulder injury. This guy, also a pretty solid player, good range at that linebacker spot, 88 tackles this year, 9 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks, 8 pass breakups in the regular season. When you go up against the Eagles and they have the array of weapons that they do at wide receiver, but also tight end in Dallas Goedert, and all of those running backs who can make guys miss at the line, get to that 2nd level, you need good linebacker play. I thought that the Niners had the best linebacking core in the NFL. Didn't matter going up against this Eagles offense for the reasons that I just talked about. Juju Smith-Schuster got off to a great start with the Pittsburgh Steelers, mostly because he was playing alongside Antonio Brown. Then once AB left, Juju was kind of thrust in that number 1 role. Didn't have that production of being that number 1 wide receiver. He's also suffered from a lot of injuries, which is a big reason why he signed a 1-year deal with Kansas City. He suffered a knee injury. His injury issues continue to really hurt what was a very, very promising career. And he's had a great career. Don't let me get it twisted. 78 catches this year, 933 yards. 3 touchdowns, 12 yards per catch. The Chiefs are a little bit thin at that wide receiver spot. So if he can't play, you're looking at a very, very solid option for Patrick Mahomes, a very good 3rd down option as well, who might not be on the field to affect and impact that Chiefs offense. And then lastly, Speaking of Patrick Mahomes, he suffered that ankle injury a couple of weeks ago in the divisional round against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Looked pretty good. He was hobbled. He grimaced in pain a couple of times against the Bengals, but had a very good performance. And according to Jeremy Fowler, all things checking out on the Mahomes injury front. Came out of Sunday's game without any major setbacks, according to Fowler, on that high ankle sprain. Was told he's in good shape post-game, and obviously it's going to be a tall test for this Eagles defense. So, with this game coming up, I can't wait for it. Just fast forward to Super Bowl Sunday, but also at the same time, let's continue to milk it because I'm loving talking about the Super Bowl preparation heading into Sunday's big game in a couple of weeks. How confident are you in the Eagles against the Chiefs? 1, not confident. 100, very confident that they're going to get that dub. Let me know down in the comment section. We appreciate all of you for watching, and if you haven't subscribed, do so right now.